Dueling genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the Ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. And it's the last episode of Season 7, so we're ending the season with a smash. Da-da!
Yeah! Smash!
Well, I'm going to reduce that a little bit. So Yousif, is the Hulk a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
Oh, definitely should be. 100%.
Has it, though? Because, this is the only Hulk movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Was The Incredible Hulk a remake or a sequel, or what was it?
It's like a sequel reboot in many ways. Like, they kind of changed the origins up a bit.
Is there still an origin story in that one?
There is, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they matched it more to the Ultimate Universe, where in the Ultimate Universe, Bruce Banner was trying to recreate a super soldier serum. And
okay.
then he injected himself with gamma radiation. That's how the Hulk came to be. Well, in the comics, the original main universe, it was just a gamma bomb that exploded because Bruce Banner saw, Rick Jones' kid, going up in the middle of the test field. He was like, that kid shouldn't be there. I need to stop him. But
Yeah.
the test just went off, so he saved Rick Jones. The gamma bomb blew up, and the radiation affected him. Then that's turning him into the Incredible Hulk.
Got it. So it's not like his father did some science on himself and then genetically passed on some sort of weird blood and the gamma rays activated that blood, is what you're saying.
No, but there was also, The Incredible Hulk has a lot of lore, but so that didn't happen. But Bruce Banner does have a lot of repressive memories.
Sure.
He does have multiple personalities, and each of them personifies as a different Hulk.
Oh.
So the memories he had, which created his own personality of his dad, was known as Devil Hulk or Guild Hulk, depending on which version you want to look at.
Interesting, because I always knew that Red Hulk was someone else.
Yeah,
But,
that's General Ross.
Right.
Yeah.
But I knew about Grey Hulk, but I also but I didn't realize that Grey Hulk was also Bruce Banner.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, like I say, he had multiple personalities, and each one of them manifests into a different kind of Hulk.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So, Yousif, welcome to Ideal Remake.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Short-time listener, first-time participant. Love it.
Great. So for anyone who's listening, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy, where do I start?
You're a writer.
I'm a writer. My parents came from Iraq, during the height of Saddam Hussein's power. Just like every other immigrant family, they come here for a better life for their, family and themselves. Always told me how much better they had it here compared to what they had it back in their home country. So I was like, I kind of feel like I owe a debt to the country. So I decided to join the United States Air Force. But they still wanted me to get a college degree. So, I went through UNLV, University...
On the GI Bill?
No,
No?
this was a bachelor. So I went through the ROTC program.
Got it, okay.
At UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, because I'm from Las Vegas. We also call it University of Never Leave Vegas because, here's a funny thing about Las Vegas. You either be a valedictorian or a salutatorian. You had to be the top two of your class to go to any other class outside of Nevada. But if you're three below, you can only go to a Nevada school.
So it sounds like you were then.
Yes, I was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we've got a real smart one on today's episode,
Yes.
folks.
So I got a degree in film because it was just I'm failing mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And I need to graduate a certain time in order to become an officer for the Air Force. So I was like, okay, well, I might as well go to film. Fell in love with it, fell in love with writing. It's just oh shit, this is a lot of things I want to do, a lot of things I love. I just love the visual storytelling in general, so it's just something I really want to do. But I had to be an officer first. So, I got the one job I never really wanted, which was to be a nuclear missile officer, which means I was the guy who sat on the ground waiting for the order to turn the key to launch a nuke. You can see how there's a lot of relations between my life and the Hulk. There's a lot of radiation.
So I feel like that's the sort of job where if you didn't have anxiety before, you would have anxiety afterwards.
I mean, yes and no, because it's holy shit, I'm in charge of the most powerful weapon in the world. But I know nothing's gonna happen because you gotta be crazy to
Right.
launch a nuke at anybody.
Certainly didn't want to do it pointed at a hurricane or anything.
Definitely not, no. Look, here's the thing. The nuclear technology has a lot of great applications, and it could practically lead to magic, but not at a hurricane.
Yeah, but more importantly, like, yeah, nuclear technology is amazing. It can do magic. We turned it into a bomb, but other than
Yeah,
that...
we could have gave the entire country infinite, electricity for many decades and centuries. But no, we decided to blow up people.
Yeah, no. We turned it into a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of other people who were turned into a bomb...
Yes.
The Hulk!
The Hulk! A mean green fighting machine.
Yeah. Or in this movie, the most blank expression... So we're talking about Ang Lee's The Hulk. Not the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Not starting from scratch from the Marvel movies. We're talking about Ang Lee's The Hulk.
Yes.
Why?
Because the movie itself, it's like so bad.
Yes.
And we're kind of living in an age where we have a lot of good superhero movies. And the Hulk, for one thing, is like always been like my favorite Marvel character. Like I love so much about the Hulk. Definitely one of my favorite comic book characters. But another thing about the Hulk is that he was like one of the top 3 Marvel characters. He was like an A-lister.
Right.
Like when it comes to like sales charts, it was always like X-Men, Spider-Man, and the Hulk for like Marvel for like the longest time.
I mean, if anything, like the Hulk was potentially the most commercially successful superhero for a long time just because of the Lou Ferrigno show.
That too, yeah, and yeah, 'cause the show also made him so popular. And not only that, like I feel like Wizard magazines must have like made Hulk like the #1 comic, like the most award-winning comic
Sure.
ever. So it's like I think it won like the Best Comic Award multiple years in a row. So it's like definitely one of the top. So and there's a reason why, because like in the comics, there's a lot of interpersonal drama. Earlier I talked about like split personality. Like once like Peter David became the writer for the Hulk, and that's like what the most famous Hulk stories came out of. Like he just like kind of blew up into a whole nother level, because it's like, okay, there's split personalities, but then you got his dramatic backstory. Then his relationship between him and Betty. It was just like a lot of love triangles. There's a lot of like moments like, oh, we're in love with each other, but like, can we really be with each other? I don't know. There was like a lot of like, relationship drama going on. It was just like, you were almost like watching like a real drama show happening unfold every single time. Just like, there just had to be like about 5 pages of him smashing things, and going big.
It is nice to finally see a superhero with super strength dating someone whose dad is a general in the military.
Yeah.
I don't know where else I could have possibly seen that before. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Anyway, certainly nothing produced by Warner Brothers. But yeah, for anyone listening who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Superman, Lois Lane's dad is also a general. It doesn't matter. But so like, the movie itself does some things that I was like, because I'm vaguely familiar with the Hulk. There was a cartoon that was on when I was a kid that I watched some episodes of. The Hulk was never one of my favorites. I was always much more of a DC guy.
Yeah.
Basically until Iron Man. Like, to be fair, I also love Spider-Man, because who doesn't love Spider-Man? Like, the 90s Spider-Man, the 90s X-Men shows were incredible. Yeah. And then they tried a 90s Hulk that just wasn't as good.
No, it sucks, because I was like really looking forward to it as a kid.
Yeah.
And like, if you, that opening sequence, like if you even watch it now, it's just like, holy shit, like the animation looks great, the song is fucking amazing, like, oh my god, this is gonna be a great cartoon. Then it goes to like, the first second is like, what the hell is happening? It's boring.
But like, how does that cartoon and this movie like compare to? Because presumably now the Hulk has several different origin stories. What's the origin story that you prefer most for the Hulk?
I mean, definitely the original one. Where Bruce Banner just tried to save Rick Jones and got blasted by a nuclear bomb or a gamma bomb.
Sure.
Just because, like, so main reason why I love Hulk the most is that, or why he's like my favorite hero, is that he's always like destroying labels. He smashes labels. Because he and everyone always view Hulk as this monster, like we gotta kill him, we gotta get rid of him, but it's like, nobody really left him alone. Nobody like ever did things, but like Hulk constantly saves the Earth all the time. Like so many times in the comics was like, holy shit, we're about to lose, send in the fucking Hulk, and the Hulk will like save them. Right. And he's just like, I hate everybody, but this is like good deed inside him that he has to like save it. And inertly that came from Bruce Banner saving, this young boy from dying of a nuclear blast, so
In the movie that we watched, I'd say there's maybe 2.5 moments of actual heroism.
Yeah.
Like, there's the moment where, oh my god, we're stuck in the lab and the thing's about to go, and my friend is over here, so I get sort of in front of the radiation, despite the fact that that's not how radiation works.
I mean, yes.
But, like, no, I'm gonna absorb this, I'm standing in front of the thing. Alright, man. But he generally does a thing, and stupid though it may be, that was a true moment of heroism.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of does a heroic moment where he goes and kills 3 Hulk dogs to save Betty, but, like, he was there already, and then they attacked him, so it's not like he, like, got in the way.
Yeah.
And then there's the moment at the end where he's on the Golden Gate Bridge, and the plane's about to crash, and he jumps on the plane and saves the plane.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like the moment at the beginning, moment at the end are, like, the actual moments of heroism, I think. And everything else is just like, hey, let's get this guy. He shouldn't be alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's trying. He keeps trying to be alive too much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
But, I was also argue that's like one of the few things that really got right about the Hulk. You know, I mean, you also got to look at the origins of Marvel in the beginning.
Sure.
Because like Marvel was always more about like, you know, let's talk about stories from like the creature's perspective. You know, like the very first Human Torch was this android that just like constantly burned shit. Yeah.
The first Human Torch was an android?
Yeah. He was an android that just constantly went off flames.
Johnny Storm was Johnny Bot Storm or Johnny Stormbot?
No, Johnny Storm is the second Human Torch.
Oh.
Yeah. He so like
some real Blue Beetle shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely that's what it is. So they're like, even with all like the heroes, right? Like the Fantastic Four, they're not really heroes, they're more explorers.
Sure.
You know, Thor, is he really a hero? He's more like a guy. He's just like a just fancy guy who's constantly fighting like mythological creatures. You know, he's just a guy who constantly wants to go on the next adventure. You know, that's what Thor really is. You know, Iron Man, sure, like I guess he's kind of heroish. You know, got his heart attack, realized his weapons are being like used. And in the original comics, people, Iron Man had like a heart condition. It wasn't because of scrapples. Blah. So
scrap metal.
Scrap metal. Thank you. I can write. I know English.
That's what the little red squiggly line is for. You don't need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, Spider-Man's a hero. Captain America's a hero.
Yeah.
The X-Men are heroes in spite of the fact that everyone hates them.
Yeah. But
I mean, they're heroes against the people who are also them. But the important thing is...
Yeah, it's like they hate them. So, like, with Hulk, he's like, the origin story is always like, here's this monster who is, like, always been misunderstood. And the military is just like, oh, we can't let this guy exist. In the military point of view, like, they see a monster. Mm-hmm. Well, this is just a creature who just wants to live.
Right.
And they're just getting in the way. So that's the thing.
I mean, you also trace it back, and it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. But it's just like, unlike Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like, Mr. Hyde is kind of like really not a good person, you know?
Right.
So, but like the Hulk, he's depending on who's writing him, you know, he has a very childish personality. So this is just a person who just like doesn't understand why the world hates him, but he just knows he loves Betty. So that's all he really knows.
I watched some YouTube video however long ago. I don't remember the name of what her channel is, but basically she talks about how the Hulk has one weakness, and it's kitties. Because like anything else, like you throw out the Hulk just makes him more mad. And like you also talk about how Hulk's power, like there is no upper limit to how strong the Hulk can get, because he can just keep getting madder. But then but he loves cats, and so he just like, oh, he just wants to be friends with the cats.
Yeah, he just wants to be friends with cats, and that'll turn him back to Bruce Banner. So
yeah. We should go through the movie as it exists.
Yes. I could talk about Hulks for so long.
And we'll get into
that.
But
boy, I got a lot to talk about.
And we'll get into that when we start doing our version. But, like, basically the movie as it exists starts with just a fucking long opening scene.
Yeah.
And we meet Dr. Banner.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, man, he's the scientist who's doing science things, but he's losing funding and has to rush and be careful. And then he goes home and he's like, hello, wife. Hello, Bruce. Oh, that's not the Hulk one.
Yeah.
He's the dad of the Hulk one.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I sure hope he doesn't get mad and murder his wife. So anyway, he gets mad and murders his wife. But
by the way, it doesn't reveal. It was just like what they did is like, oh, shit, he was doing he experimented on himself because like General Ross at the time I guess he's a Lieutenant Colonel Ross at the time.
Sure.
But he told like, you know, David Banner, Bruce's father, don't know human experiments. And he's just like, I'm gonna experiment myself. Then
I'll show you.
Yeah, then Ross finds out, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm shutting you down because you had a human experiment. Oh yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna set off this giant gamma bomb, which is also like, oh my god, like they explained nothing. Because you just assume this guy was like a biological scientist.
Yeah.
He's just testing on creatures to try to like do other things, but we don't know what his final end goal is at all, or really. It's just like he's teaching on creatures, and he got pissed off, and for some reason there's a nuclear bomb in the middle of this like biological facility.
And he keeps getting away with it?
Yeah!
So he sets off the nuclear bomb, he experiments on himself, but he does that before Bruce is born, so like whatever he does to his own blood goes into Bruce's blood. Fine. But then like he kills his wife, gets arrested, and Bruce gets put into the foster system, told both his parents are dead. Again, fine. Mm-hmm. And then 30 years later, however old they're supposed to be, when we're not being distracted by how beautiful Jennifer Connelly is, there's a new janitor, and it's like, oh, unfortunately the other janitor died. We never find out about it. Presumably the dad killed him. And like he keeps getting away with it. He then goes on to like sick his weird Hulk dogs on Betty, and then shows up later as like, so I've got a favor to ask. And she's like, okay. And then like he goes and talks to Bruce after Bruce has been captured or whatever. And we'll get to all this later. And then basically he's like, they're having a shouting, screaming match, and he's trying to steal Bruce's power, and they're just like, we'll let him finish. And then he's like, oh, well, now they're even slightly mad at me. I'll show them, and bites into an electric cable, and they're like, I guess we'll let him finish. Like, first of all, he set off a nuclear bomb in the middle of an army base. How did he get out of super prison?
Yeah.
Because they said, oh, he was released. Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, like, you don't... First of all, it's like, how did he get the keys? Second of all, you can't just, like, set the bomb off like that. There's a lot of technicality I could, like, describe. But it's like, okay, first of all, that's impossible. But two, say if you manage to, like, set that all up and you do get captured, you could be in prison for fucking life.
If they don't just immediately execute you.
Yeah.
And so that's the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. And then we flash forward, it's like, oh, so now Bruce is an adult. Oh, but I'm glad Harper's here to tell him that he messed up with Betty and she broke up with him, but they're still working together.
Yeah.
Cool, necessary information. But then it turns out Bruce is also in that field just by happenstance. Because, well, of course he works in that field. It's in his blood.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that. Yeah. We don't know that. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And like, anyway... They're doing an experiment on a frog to see if they can, like, basically trying to do, like, hey, can gamma radiation heal things?
Yeah.
And it does, but then it keeps going, and the frog explodes. They kill so many animals in this movie. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So they explode a frog, and then, aw, sad. Well, anyway. And, like, so then what happens after that?
So after the frog... There was a lot of, man, what happened next? Nothing, really.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It's because like the next major beat after that is them trying to experiment again. But then it was like, but Harper...
Well, the machine was broken.
It was like it wasn't like something activated. Like it activated itself.
Something in the machine jammed. Harper goes on to fix it. He manages to fix it, but he gets stuck, so he can't get out. So the machine's getting turned on.
Yeah.
Bruce goes in, gets him out, puts a mask on him, and then... steps in front of a sword. Bad science happens. Bruce takes the brunt of the blast. We never see Harper again.
Yeah, never, ever.
Despite the fact that, like, if I was doing this movie, then Harper would be the villain in the sequel because he also got a big dose of radiation, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. So now it's like, all right, Bruce has, for some reason, survived the blast that has killed every single other organic thing it's come into contact with.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now Talbot is here. I think Talbot was there to inspect before.
Oh yeah, So they did the frog experiment. Then Glenn Talbot, another character from the comics,
is not.
No, he is.
Yeah,
but he wasn't. He was never.
Talbot's in a. Oh no, he's not. I take it back.
He was in Agents of Shield. Played by what's his face from Heroes, the one that flew.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think I ever put those two pieces together.
Yeah, so he played Talbot in like the current MC universe, but in the comics, Talbot, very interesting character. General Ross really tried to hook Betty and Talbot up. Like he wanted like Talbot to be his son-in-law.
Sure.
So he always like forced him on her. And there's been multiple times where Betty was just like, "I love Bruce," but Talbot, you're a normal person, but you're also like very angry. So who's the real monster, you or the Hulk? So there's like a lot of moments like that in the comics.
Yeah, there would be.
Yeah. Hey, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby knew how to write their love stories in the beginning.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's the thing that happened. Talbot comes because like the military's inspected it. They heard about the good work that they're doing here.
Yeah.
And you should really agree to work with us because it sure would be a shame if we just took all the work you did and now you can't work on it anymore. So Talbot comes in, tries to hook up with Betty, and threatens everybody else. Great dude.
Yeah.
And then the accident happens.
Yeah.
And then Bruce is like, yeah, no, I'm fine. All the doctors came in and
Yeah.
said, it's great.
My bad knee's now my good knee.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And Betty's like, I don't understand what's happening, but okay.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Banner starts having all these like flashbacks to what's going on, and all his repressed memories are coming out. And for some reason, he just keeps getting angry.
Yeah, it gets no reason. And what's even funny is like, how do you know the Hulk? He's going to turn into the Hulk? Because his imagination of the door opening in his hospital bed, and then you see the Hulk right behind it. It's just like, what?
But like simultaneously, in like the first scene or the second scene, Betty has a prophetic dream where like,
yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so like,
before anything happens,
yeah, dear listeners, there's like the first like 20 or 30 minutes was like a
you
lot
can
of
skip it.
Yeah, it's like you could like, because the Hulk doesn't really appear till like 40-ish minutes in, and like but it's like, you know,
this movie's 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah, and like, you know, we talked about the whole origin story of him as a kid, where like whatever happens, but then like at one point, like, you know, Bruce was just hanging out in his office, and like he was just like, he pulled out like an envelope full of Polaroids, you know, because, you know, back then you could only like get photos by, you know, taking a roll of film to like a Target or a Walmart, and then they'll print it out.
Back then in, let me check,
Movie
2008, 2004, what was it?
The movie came out 2003.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Continue.
And then, so like as he was flipping through photos, he looked at one with him and Betty in front of a tree, and then like, then all of a sudden, like, they came to life in the photo, and then, like, everything just, like, zooms out. Now we're, like, seeing a flashback of them talking, and Betty talking about this weird dream where she saw an atomic blast, and, like, Bruce, like, carried her up as, like, a 2-year-old and, like, tried to, like, choke her. And it's just, like, what does that have to do with anything?
The directing choices in this movie are insane.
Yeah.
Like, and you said you were going to tell me more about them, because I think I sent you a picture where Betty's, like, walking into the office and General Talbot comes in, and it's just, like, 3 squares are moving around and literally the same characters in 2 of the squares just from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. I understand that it's supposed to be comic panels.
Yeah.
But it's still stupid.
Yeah, that's why Ang Lee wanted to do that
That's
way.
it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
he's like, how can I tell comics in a very movie-like way? Oh, if I have these, like, different angles of, like, the same scene and these square panels everywhere. And it gets more ridiculous later. It's because, like, when the moment where, like, Glenn, like, shot that little rocket, that rocket gun, or the grenade launcher at the Hulk, and it bounced off him, and he died.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing, like, zoomed out, and you saw, like, every single scene, and then, like, it goes down a couple panels to, like, the next scene. Like, it was just, like, nuts that way.
That sort of shit works in a Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
It does not work here.
No, not at all. So, it's like... And that's
not even the most egregious thing that he did. Like, there's also these crazy, like, wipes and fades to black and fade to rock back to person.
Yeah.
And just, like, different angles and perspectives. Like, watching this movie felt so much like watching the 1970s Dune movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, so much.
Yeah.
And for a movie about the Hulk, the most emotional character that's ever existed, by definition,
Yeah.
every single character in the entire movie is whispering.
Yeah, I know, right?
For no reason!
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the whole thing is that, like, oh, he can't, like, they make a comment earlier in the movie when Bruce is a kid, he's like, I don't know what it is with this kid. He just bottles up all his emotions. I'm like, good! That's great! Lean on that. Mm-hmm. Except everyone does it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so it's not unique or different or special.
Yeah, yeah.
This movie's crazy.
It is crazy. So after he became the Hulk, he destroyed the...
He destroys the lab for some reason.
He destroys the lab. And then we see his dad, because, you know, we say his dad is the janitor now.
Yeah.
And, you know, he, like... By the way, his dad's played by Nick Nolte, and he's just, like, unhinged.
He is giving a hell of a performance. I cannot fault his performance and his performance only.
I know. And it's just so fun to watch him just, like, do all his Ella's acting. It's so exquisite. It's
Yeah.
very exquisite.
Yeah.
So yeah, he saw his dad, and he's just like, oh, my son, and like Hulk just got mad. It's like, ugh, you're evil, and he just like jumps away, and like the camera just like zooms back into the hall that the Hulk flew out of. It just like zooms back in, and he's just all crying. He's like, my boy,
son,
my
my
son.
precious boy.
It's just all crying.
And like later in the movie, he's like, "No, you, Bruce Banner, aren't my son. My real son is the one inside you, the green one.
Yeah, let him out.
That's my real
Yeah.
son. You're just a shell.
Yeah.
I hate you." So anyway, the rest of the movie is like, hey, the Hulk's bad. So military tries to attack the Hulk, doesn't work. Hulk fights back, doesn't work. Da 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 da. And eventually, Betty goes and like General Ross confronts Betty and says, don't go near Bruce. And he talks to Bruce and says, don't go near Betty. So the next scene, they're together. And Betty goes to confront the janitor dad to be like, hey, so what's going on? And the janitor dad's like, I don't know. I guess I can do science and stuff, and people don't like when I do science and stuff, and it's your dad's fault. Anyway, see you later. And remember, don't look my dogs directly in the eye. And so then later he's like, sends his dogs to attack Betty.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it's just to get back at General Ross.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it too. It's also weird that how like Betty lives in like a cabin in the middle of the woods.
That was crazy.
It's like wait, so like how far is your commute? Like
I was like, what general will allow their child to live in a completely unfortified, isolated location where they can be got by anybody from any direction?
Yeah.
And then she just wanders out into the middle of the night to be like, boy, I heard a sound. I'm unarmed.
Uh-huh.
It's a good thing it's this giant green man.
Yeah. And she recognizes as Bruce.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's also fun because, because Ang Lee's such an artist director. The way how Hulk left up adult Betty was just like her dream of Bruce Banner lifting her up as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It was just the same exact thing. So I was just like, okay, cool, nice callback. Still don't mean shit.
Still don't mean shit.
It doesn't mean anything or add anything to it at all. And then the Hulk dogs show up because now David Banner figured out how to create Hulk dogs just because Bruce is alive.
Because the plot demanded it.
Plus, the plot demanded it. Now those dogs are like that encounter. Like someone in the comics, someone actually made like Hulk dogs,
I'm sure
and
that
they fight
happened.
against it. So it's like the writers were just, I think it's more Ang Lee than the writers who was just like fascinated with this thing happen.
Sure.
Like he just wants them to fight dogs. And it was also I think it was hilarious. Like he saw the dogs, he's all angry, and he like opens the car door and like gently puts Betty inside the car and like closes it. He starts fighting them, which has
His face goes from neutral to angry.
yeah.
Because, like, whenever he's with Betty, his face is the most blank slate I've ever seen. Again, a creature defined by emotion, blank slate.
Yeah.
So then the Hulk kills 3 dogs.
And one of them by punching them in the nuts.
One of them by punching them in the nuts.
Yeah.
One of them by ripping it in half.
Yeah.
And the other one by throwing across somewhere, and so we see it explode in a thing of green dust in the distance, so we can't actually see the carnage.
Yes, exactly.
All right, and then the Hulk turns back into Bruce and then tries to strangle Betty because he's still feeling all of his emotions, despite the fact that he should now be calm because he turned back into Bruce.
Yep.
And then he passes out naked. Betty drags him inside somehow, I guess. And then the next morning he's like, I kind of like being the Hulk. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, how are you? And then Betty was like, oh shit, maybe I should call my dad to help.
Mm-hmm. So she calls the dad. Bruce gets tranked, which works, I guess.
Yeah, which works.
And they take him out to the military base where apparently he and Betty both grew up.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to each other.
Like, for somehow, even though a giant bomb went off in this particular location, there's still a functioning base underground.
Yep. And then Talbot went over General Ross. So first General Ross goes over Talbot's head.
Yeah.
Then, because like at some point, General Talbot comes over to threaten Bruce. Like before he even went and attacked the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And Talbot's like, the fuck are you doing? I'm going to kick your ass. How dare you have them take my job away? And Bruce is like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
And so he turns into the Hulk and beats the shit out of Talbot. The fact that Talbot didn't die is crazy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought he was more injured by how bad he got ragdolled.
Yeah.
General Ross goes over Talbot's head, then Talbot goes over General Ross's head, so now Talbot's in control, and basically they send Betty away. They start trying to do experiments on Bruce. None of them work because they don't get it. And then eventually they turn him into the Hulk. The Hulk breaks out, and they all try to attack the Hulk, but they just make him madder and madder. Until finally Talbot's like, fuck it, I'm going to throw a rocket launch at her. Rocket launch bounces off of Bruce, hits the wall behind Talbot and explodes, killing Talbot.
Yeah.
What next?
Okay, so after that, General Ross was just like, okay, he's gonna do too much damage. Just let him out, and we're just gonna, chase him in the open field because he's gonna fucking destroy this whole base.
Right.
So they sent, first they shot cluster bombs at him.
Right.
And then a few tanks and a couple ATVs showed up.
Sure.
Which was a couple hilarious things. For one thing, he pulled the nose of one of the tanks and basically turned to a club. But as he was walking up to another tank, he was just moving his hands up his he's rolling up his sleeve.
Yeah.
And then he stared at his tank. So it's you see him with this the nose of the tank, the nozzle. Oh shit, he's gonna use it as a bat, right? So he rolls up his sleeves oh, I'm ready to fucking batter you up. And he sees another tank and he just drops it. And then he takes the tank and bends his nozzle to point at the soldier inside it. Which was hilarious.
It was pretty good.
It was funny. And a lot of things in the tank battle I do like. Do you know who did the mocap for the Hulk?
No, tell me.
It was Ang Lee.
Ang Lee himself did the mocap for the Hulk?
Yeah, the main reason why, because they had another mocap actor doing all the whole thing, but he kept interrupting. He's like, no, I don't like that. I don't like doing this. At one point they were like, you know what to do. Why don't you do it? And he was like, okay. So he just...
if there's someone you're going to trust for choreography, it's going to be Ang Lee.
Yeah. So he did the whole mocap, which probably explains why his face is always neutral all the time, because, Ang Lee's a better director than an actor, I guess.
That is probably true. Theoretically, everything's, neutral anyway. And it's not like they had, the dots on the face or whatever at this point. I think they were still, this was ping pong ball time or whatever you called it.
Yeah.
And, they just gave him neutral face. So anyway, Hulk's bouncing around. Where's Hulk normally based? Where does Bruce Banner live in the comics?
Oh, he's always traveling everywhere.
But where was his home base?
For the longest time it was always in New Mexico, which is one thing they did right in this movie is the desert base was in New Mexico and all that.
That's why I wanted to ask, because if it was New York or LA or something, I'm gonna be where are the sand dunes? But New Mexico, I know where the sand dunes are.
Yeah.
Durango.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
There's also an Air Force base right there.
Yeah.
That's where I went to college. Not Durango, but near the Colorado Springs, where the Air Force base is.
Yeah.
We didn't get along. So, Hulk bounces around, gets calm, relaxes in the desert, stays the Hulk, keeps getting attacked, eventually makes it into San Francisco, fights off a bunch of planes. One of the planes is losing control. It's about to crash into the Golden Gate Bridge. Hulk jumps on it, makes it go under the bridge, and they try to fly up into the sky. And everything's going crazy, and it's not working. They keep doing bad things. And Betty's just let me talk to him. I'll calm him down. And they're really? No. She's yeah. And it instantly works. And she's I told you guys. So then they capture Bruce. They lock him in. Meanwhile, the character on IMDb, simply labeled Father, surrenders himself to Betty. But his one rule is that he wants... His one caveat to being arrested is that he wants to have a conversation with his son.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, despite the fact that he has tried to kill everybody.
Yeah. So, at one point, he did the whole experiment on himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, he went into their lab, plugged himself into the machine, and zapped himself with the
with the gamma radiation, and he was just he fell down, and he was bleeding. Then all of a sudden, his blood stopped, and he's able to control his blood. Then he touched this metal object, and now his whole hands turned into metal. So he basically became Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man is another villain in the Marvel Comics, originally a Thor villain, but he fought against the Hulk multiple times. So he's a big guy, but Absorbing Man powers, if you could guess from the movie, is that he's able to absorb anything. He touches something, he becomes that thing.
How does it work in the comics? Is that also his power in the comics?
Yeah, so because he's always known for holding this ball and chain, so that way he could become that metal. But he fought against Thor and he was absorbed the metal out of the hammer.
Oh yeah.
So that got crazy, but Thor beat him by summoning electricity and does making him absorb electricity, and then he turns into dust. So there's a lot of ways he could do that, but once he managed to control the air, he could reform himself.
Well, because that's why I was asking, because in the movie he absorbs electricity, he absorbs water, he absorbs the energy of the Hulk.
Yeah.
But he also is absorbing matter, and all I could think was the character of Kevin 11 from Ben 10, where it's in the original version of Ben 10, it's like, yeah, he absorbs the aliens and is a villain, but in the second, he absorbs matter and turns into different like composites of matter and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a smart way to do it because we find out that he's also like, if he absorbs energy, that breaks his brain and he goes crazy. So when he absorbed the energy of the Omnitrix, that's what made him crazy. Bruce's dad is already crazy, but like that's all I was thinking of. Like, oh, he should stick to just absorbing the physical elements, otherwise he's gonna mess with his head. No.
Yeah, which is kind of should have been like that, but I also like felt like choosing the absorbing man, not the best idea.
I mean, I don't think they were gonna go with Prime Evolutionary or whatever, or the High Evolutionary on the first movie.
I mean, they could have gone with Abomination, which they did in the second one. Yeah. So.
I think High Evolutionary is really better suited for comics than movies because it's like really incredibly smart guy, giant brain, is green, looks silly.
Are you talking about the leader?
I guess I'm talking about the leader.
Yeah, the leader. Yeah, he's definitely the silly one.
Yeah,
which he might make an appearance in that next Captain America movie.
Guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I mean, we love the leader.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you think Abomination, but that's like kind of the Marvel thing of like we go against the mirror match.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that they chose someone else. But like this movie has 2 non-villains.
Yeah.
It has Bruce, and I guess Bruce's various mothers who are not villains, and then Betty. Because even Harper's an asshole.
Yeah.
But General Ross is a villain. Talbot is a villain.
Yeah.
David Banner is a villain. It's just villain. Okay, fine. One of them's Absorbing Man. Who gives a who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, he tries to absorb Bruce's power. Like, that's why he wants Bruce to turn. It turns out now that he has powers, now the reason he wants Bruce to turn into the Hulk is so that he can absorb all the power and he can have all the power in the world. Yeah. And in the final showdown, now that the Hulk can talk, he's like, no, take it all! Yeah. And keeps shouting real loud, the thing the Hulk does. And and the dad's like, yes, power. And then immediately like, oh no, make it stop. He goes from yes to crying, make it stop.
Oh, it's too much.
There's no transition in the middle. It's just it's 0 to 10 to 0.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I can feel it. I have all this like nothing. And I was like, you're doing the thing, but you're skipping the steps.
Yeah. What's even more funny though is like as he's like absorbing power, he like somehow turns into like this bubble that's shaped like a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
And then you see all these images on this bubble of like various different things. It's almost like they're having his own montage sequence of the entire movie happening in this bubble cloud, which is also like, this is like freaking nuts. Like, what the hell is going on?
And then General Ross says, fire, and they fire a nuke at the oasis in the middle of the desert that they're at. Bruce is fine, but like stays away, and the giant bubble gets evaporated, so that's gone. And a year later, General Ross goes to talk to Betty and goes, he hasn't, I don't know if I'm pretty sure it killed him, but just in case it didn't, he hasn't talked to you, right? And she's like, no. And as much as I miss him and love him, I hope he never does, because obviously everything I've ever touched is bugged. And then we cut to the middle of South America.
It was the middle of Brazil.
Middle of Brazil.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where we meet the Hulk in the Avengers.
Yeah. Well, no, so in the Avengers, he was in India. But in Incredible Hulk, it started off in Brazil.
But it's still doing the same kind of thing of like, I'm distant place, helping people as much as I can.
Yeah. And then
And he had a beard.
Yeah, he has a beard this time.
Beard Hulk.
And like this militia shows up, it's like, okay, this all shit belongs to us. And then he was just like, you're making me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. He said that all in Portuguese. And then camera zooms out into a giant green forest. Ends.
Yeah. It's not a good movie.
It's not. It is. But it is so fascinating that it... Because, like, it's so weird, right? Because, like, when you think about Ang Lee, like, this is Academy Award-winning director, you know? This guy directed Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you know, which, like, really put, like... Taiwanese and Chinese filmmaking on the map. It made it seem like it's a much more serious tale. So it's like, oh shit, when this artist director is gonna come on and like make this movie about like someone dealing with psychology and all that stuff, it's gonna be great. And it wasn't, because what his direction with it was just like, someone gave you way too much power or whatever. Like, I don't know what you were thinking or what you were doing.
It's a problem because, like, theoretically, you'd think of Ang Lee as, like, giving us these really cool and interesting fight scenes.
Yeah.
But then, like, this movie was just all about the interpersonal bullshit, none of which interested us in any way because it wasn't done particularly well.
Which is also... But, like, here's the thing, though, is, like, he almost quit after making this movie.
No way.
But then Brokeback Mountain came across his lap, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta direct this."
Yeah.
So
it is a different yeah.
I think the idea was like, even Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is also about like relationship, right?
It is,
and a lot of it, one side is like forbidden romance, like this, Kung Fu Master loves, his student, but like he can't be with her and all that stuff,
But it's romance because it does the action movie thing of there is character drama, but a lot of that character drama is revealed in the action sequences.
Yeah.
There are the non-action sequences as well, and I know that there were limitations of technology in 2003, but fundamentally, you want all that stuff to be you want the character stuff to be happening during the fight scene.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, you want that character stuff to be happening while they're having sex.
Yeah.
It's like you have to like lampshade it, give us some sort of spectacle to get through the exposition.
Yeah.
And this movie was like 45 minutes of exposition, and then the Hulk shows up.
Yeah.
And then goes away.
Yeah.
I don't know. It simply didn't work, which is a shame.
Yeah, exactly. So but here's the thing though, is like it's very obvious the writers read like the entire catalog. Like the Hulk is about 40 years old at this point,
right,
when this movie came out. So it's like it just felt like they read at least all of like Peter David's work, when he wrote the Hulk. Peter David wrote a Hulk for like 15 years, so it's like...
And I don't know if this movie did it first or the Fantastic Four movies did it, where Stan Lee's in there. No, Fantastic Four was 2005.
Yeah.
Because like this movie had a Stan Lee cameo, and this potentially was the first Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
No, he was in the Spider-Man
Spider-Man
movies.
came before this.
You're right.
Spider-Man came before, yeah.
He was not in the X-Men movies, but he was in the Spider-Man movies.
Yes, he was, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, even though he did co-create the X-Men characters, like, I think that's just Cyclops and Jean Grey was, like, his original creation.
Either way, it's still Stan Lee. But, But, yeah, so the writers on this are James Schamus, John Turman, and Michael France.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, they would like these things, that they also worked on the Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, and that's probably what they asked him. But like their credits was like very limited, and I can only surmise that they also came from a time where you could it's in the screenwriting world where you could make money off of development. So I'm pretty sure these guys like constantly wrote for a living. They just never saw anything of theirs get made.
Michael France also wrote GoldenEye.
I mean, that too. That guy. So, like, that's the guy with, like, the real credit,
Yeah.
So...
And then, because it's three different writers, and they all have, like, different credits of, like, Cliffhanger and The Ice Storm.
Yeah.
And Lust, Caution, 2007.
Yeah, so it's, like, a lot of very action-y kind of movies, And not so much that deals with, the psychology of someone's mind or, like, interpersonal relationship.
Yeah.
So...
Anyway, so that's the movie as it exists.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist particularly well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you have in mind for your version of the Hulk.
So, what I think was interesting about this movie is that at its, like, the theme about, like, a father and child relationship.
Okay.
Like, both Betty and Bruce have their shaky relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
And so, my version would be, like, these two people who found each other or they relate to each other because they're trying to become what their parents aren't. Like, they want to go away from what their parents being. With Bruce, he's like, I'm gonna be like a nuclear scientist because I'm
just like my dad.
Well, no, we'll keep his dad being a biologist, sure.
Okay.
Oh, we'll just change his origin to where his dad is just like some janitor, And,
well, I'm okay with his dad being another scientist, and I like the idea of like Bruce ended up being interested in the same things as his dad despite never really knowing his dad.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to any of that.
Yeah.
It's a little silly and coincidental, but like fundamentally it's like, yeah, I mean, we're a lot more similar than you think. We're both interested in the same things.
Yeah.
We're more alike than you realize. No, I'll never be like
I'll never be like you, father. Oh, but you are like me.
Yeah.
You got my rage.
Yeah, basically. But like I also want to play with that of Bruce doesn't have emotions, and that's why Betty broke up with him, is like he fundamentally is really bad at expressing himself and his emotions. He just bottles everything up and shoves it down.
Yeah.
And then when finally he gets this big burst and everything comes spilling out, it manifests itself in the Hulk.
Yeah.
Emotion manifests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing I want. Like, and I don't know, maybe I'm just like such a purist, right? But like, I still like the idea of like just being affected by an actual gamma bomb.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that fear still exists. And, you know, once again, like, I'm not saying because I worked in a nuclear missile field and I know things, but it's also like, no matter what, like, we got one president who has, like, one of the biggest arsenals of nuclear weapons, who is currently with war in another country, and we're about to have another president who's also going to be, you know, in charge of the same amount.
And
who's
he wants
also
more wars.
Yeah, and he wants more wars. So it's like the amount of power to have at your fingertips and the ability to just to unleash it is a very scary thing. It's a very scary thought.
But let's get back to the thing you talked about at the beginning of nuclear energy has so many amazing properties and applications, but it's just being used to make things go boom.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the idea of Bruce, Betty, and Harper coming together to work on something to like...
Which, by the way, I want to change Harper back to Rick Jones, the original comic character.
Well, here's the thing. I still want it to be an adult because here's my pitch.
Yeah, we can still make him an adult.
Like, my pitch is they're working on energy, limitless energy. It doesn't need to be a healing, whatever, mumbo jumbo. They're trying to make stable, limitless energy because, like, that's something that the world can really need because then, like, doing that will give us basically everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're working on that, and then, of course, there's an accident. What was the name of the character again?
Rick Jones.
Rick Jones. I should actually write that down. And Rick Jones gets trapped inside, and Bruce goes in to help him, but he's like, be careful, because the thing's going to go off any second now. And Bruce manages to get Rick Jones out, and they're running for the exit. Bruce trips and falls, and where Bruce went in to help Rick Jones does not turn around to help Bruce.
Yeah.
Rick Jones gets out.
Yeah, he just books it.
And then the door closes behind him. The thing goes off.
Yeah.
And Bruce was stuck inside.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, here's one person who did the heroic thing and showed this incredible feat of, like, this incredible kindness, this, like, true humanity. And the other guy, who literally just got saved by him, does not return the favor.
Yeah, he's very selfish about it. Yeah.
Because, again, only two good people in this whole movie.
Yeah.
And that's how we can have Bruce get exposed to everything at the beginning. Because they've spent all this time trying to find stable, limitless energy, cold fusion, whatever you want to call it, gamma radiation.
Yeah.
And it keeps not working. It keeps failing, and they need to shut it down to the last sec or risk it going nuclear.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so while Bruce is rescuing Rick Jones, Betty's shutting it down.
Yeah.
So it still goes, but isn't like a nuclear incident. It's just enough to expose Bruce.
Yeah, yeah, it's enough. And they'll be like, I feel like all three of those characters will be responsible for unleashing this monster, right? When
of course.
It comes out, which is almost very comic accurate. Because, like, throughout the comics, Rick Jones always felt like the skill's like, oh, shit, the main reason I'm sticking with Hulk because I gotta help him because it's my fault he became the Hulk.
Yeah.
So he's always like, the guy's like, oh, I'm gonna try to hide Bruce over here if he turns to the Hulk. I was like, I'm gonna try to lead people away. It's like, no, you don't understand.
My cowardice killed you. I mean, I'm alive. Are you, though?
Yeah. Yeah, are you really?
Do you call this living? No, I'm fine. Shh.
Yeah.
This pillow's gonna solve all your problems. Shh. This is my fault, and now I have to solve the problem.
Yeah. no, help me.
But that's kind of the origin story I'd kind of like better.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to solve peace, you know, to solve this new technology that could be used for the better for humankind.
Yeah.
And the result of it is creating this monster.
And we can even have them cite the, what's the diabetes medication? Insulin.
Insulin, okay.
And, like, cite the insulin thing of, like, we're doing this on a grant because we want to then turn around and not patent it, but make it publicly available for everybody.
Yeah.
So that everyone in the world is able to have limitless energy. And then, of course, Talbot and General Ross are like, we can't let everyone in the world have limitless energy.
Yeah.
Some of the people in the world are our enemies.
Yeah. Like, we need to use it ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, imagine we could use this energy on all our jets or, like, all our tanks, you know? It's like, we could fly around a country for, like, hours and hours on end.
Our drones would never need to land again.
Yeah, exactly. They could just keep on circling around. They could surveil everybody 24/7 just because they want... And that's why they're interested in it.
Right.
And, of course, like...
Talbot for the money, General Ross for the racism.
Yeah, you know, and like, one fascinating always thing about General Ross, like, it's so interesting, right? Because, like, General Ross kind of changed over time as a character, like, why his motivation was to go after the Hulk.
Sure.
Like, at first it was just like, oh, I'm going after the Hulk because I'm a general of the United States Army, and I'm here to, like, take him down because it's my solemn duty to protect this world from monsters. then later on, when he became the Red Hulk, he was just like, no, I've always wanted Hulk's power because of his, limitless, of like what the potential could have in the military use, because like I want Hulk's power.
Yeah.
Because it's going to help not only me, but it's going to help defend the country and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, So it's like he chased after the Hulk so he could become the Hulk. So he went from like, it's my duty as an American general to stop the Hulk to I got to stop the Hulk so I could become him.
Yeah. Well,
because I'm a general.
Because if there's going to be a gun in the world, it needs to be held by a good guy with that gun.
Yeah, he's a good guy with the gun.
And no one's a gooder guy than me.
Yeah. Which is funny because like Red Hulk is known for like using guns.
So, is he really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because he can. Yeah.
How does his hand fit inside the trigger?
Yeah, he somehow killed the Abomination with a giant gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he has special bespoke guns.
Yeah.
For the Red Hulk.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he'll still like do the whole gun, smashy, but he'll also do the pow pow. So Red Hulk will smash and pow.
I mean, it's the full spectrum.
Yeah, full spectrum. So after the accident happens, and Bruce is fine, but he's also like isolated. He's being quarantined because he got exposed to gamma radiation.
Yeah, he got exposed to radiation. No one can get near him because he's irradiated.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I feel like the army will step in, and especially General Ross, because it's like, my daughter almost died, so I got to protect my daughter.
Yeah.
And Bay's just like, I don't want you, Dad.
Yeah, this guy put my daughter at risk.
Yeah.
I am not going to let this guy get anywhere near my daughter.
Yeah.
Daddy, I love him. No.
No, you should love... How about this Talbot guy? Glenn is a great guy. You should go with him.
The guy from Act 1? Gross.
Ew, Dad. He's an asshole.
So here's the thing. I think all of that's great. I don't think... Like, I recast Bruce's father, but I don't think he should necessarily be in this movie as opposed to, like, except, like, flashbacks or whatever.
Yeah, like, I do like a lot of concepts of the father as a villain.
Too, but I feel like that's a sequel.
Yeah.
And I feel like for this, let's simplify down, and it's just man versus military.
No, absolutely. And that's always been, like, the early days of the Hulk, right? It was always, like, him versus, like, the military. Then all of a sudden, like, more superpowered beings started showing up, and he started, like, going up against them.
Because fundamentally, I think like our big Act 3 moment is going to need to be the only thing we can do to stop it. I feel like our Act 3 needs to be the end of the Iron Giant, basically.
Yeah.
We're basically like, we have to stop this guy. There's only one thing we can do to stop this guy. And you know what? There's going to have to be some casualties, because if we don't stop him, there's going to be so many more, and they fire a nuke.
Yeah.
And the only one who can stop the nuke is the Hulk. So the Hulk takes the nuke, goes somewhere else, gets blasted with the radiation again, and of course he's the only one that can survive.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's the actual end of the movie. It's just bigger and bigger military assets trying to bear down on this. The Hulk hasn't killed or destroyed anything other than the things attacking him.
Yeah.
But, like, you look at all the damage that's been done by things trying to attack the Hulk.
Yeah, and that's another interesting, too, because, like, that's, that literally, like, the core theme of him, right? Of, like, what makes a Hulk a character. When I talk about him breaking labels, like, he's never been the one to destroy anything. Like, he's literally been running away from you guys this whole time. He calls to shoot at him, and now here he is in, Las Vegas or wherever, like, and then the whole city's got destroyed.
Right.
Not by his fists, but by your guns. Right. So he's, like, bullets bounce off his skin. If you stop shooting at him, no one will die. Like, bullets bouncing off his skin, he's getting ricocheted. They shoot a rocket at him. He could take it, but everyone else around him can't. Right. So it's... a lot of that stuff. So it's like, hey, we start off in an isolated place. They're studying him and they're wondering what's going on. He wakes up. Now, what would trigger his first reaction? Like, what would trigger him becoming the Hulk? Because my thought, it could, one, be him seeing Betty in danger. It could just be, General Ross yelling at him, So, like, what will cause his emotion, right? Because we talk about, like, Betty broke up with him originally because he's always been, like, stone cold.
Right. So what's something that would shatter that veneer is what you're asking?
Yeah, what would shatter that veneer? Like, he's been, like, spending his whole entire life controlling that emotion. And, one thing, love equates rage, right? Like,
well, we can also go the other way of, like, the whole purpose of their scientific experiment is that they're making this thing to provide power and energy to the entire world to make the world a better place. Yeah. And then watching all of that work being taken away by the military because, oh my God.
Yeah, my life's work, all of the ramifications and everything. And it's like, well, one of you has to come with me. Betty, my daughter,
you're going to be nowhere near this guy, so you're also coming. So he's I think he has to lose everything.
Yeah.
The love of his life, his work.
Yeah.
He's left with nothing but isolation and this, like, and a lead-lined room.
Yeah, and I still think, like, maybe her scream or something about her, like, what really triggered his anger. Because, like, I could always start again as a scientist, you know? It's like, okay, you could take my entire work away from me, but I could start all over.
Sure.
But I cannot continue my life without Betty. So if Betty goes away, so either General Ross or Talbot or somebody has to say something. And this might be a very petty, I don't know why I'm stuck with this whole love triangle thing, but, like, with Glenn wants to go after Betty. But, like, what if, like, Glenn was just, like, kind of whispered to, like, Bruce's ears, like, oh, she's with me now, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we can do that. I feel like that's a little cheesy.
It is cheesy.
I feel like there's other things we can do. Because one of the things I want to do, like, more in Act 2 and Act 3 is give Betty a lot more to do.
I mean, yes, definitely.
And
because in both movies, all she did was just, like, cry and talk, you know? So it's like, and she's a scientist, which is...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's more... Which is, like, a great change, right? Because, like, originally she started off as a civilian, and then suddenly she got blonde hair, and now she's a scientist. This is in the comics, by the way.
I believe you.
But they took the scientist thing and, you know, made it more of her origin story. So it's like...
I feel like we got to give her more agency of... They want to take both Betty and Bruce's, like, life's work.
Yeah.
I mean, I put them in their early 30s, so not much of a life's work. But, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The thing that they've been working on for 5-10 years, and they're taking it away, and Betty goes to destroy it, to break it apart, because she doesn't want the military to have it. And, she's doing all the different works that she can do, and then the military pulls her aside, and it's her... And if she screams, it's a scream of frustration of, like, no, you can't have it. And then Bruce hears that, and that's what hulks him out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so her voice is what made him the Hulk.
And if anything, when he's attacking the military, what he's also doing, and then Betty can realize it later, is he destroyed the whole lab so that they couldn't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Of, like, no one got hurt, but all of the things got destroyed, which is what she had wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it then makes him going and destroying the lab in the movie make way more sense.
It does. Like, what if she yells, like, no, you're going to ruin everything. Like, I'd rather see all this stuff be destroyed than have you use it.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, I needed, like, if her yelling, saying something like, no, I need to destroy it, we need to destroy it, you know, then that would cause Hulk to destroy it because he's like, oh, I gotta listen to Betty because Betty says I gotta destroy it, so I'm gonna destroy it.
If Betty says smash, I smash.
I smash good.
Yeah. No puny humans.
Yeah, puny human.
That was such a weird moment. It's like the first line he says in the movie. I mean, to be fair, it's also the first line he says in the Avengers, but it worked better there.
Yeah, because especially how it happened in the movie.
No, he doesn't say puny human. He says puny god.
He said puny god, yeah.
That's way better.
Yeah, which is more funny. But God, when that moment happened in the movie, just like, that came out in left field.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like, he was falling, then, like, it cuts to, like, Bruce shaving, then he looks in the mirror, and then Hulk just breaks through the mirror, just like, puny human. Now he goes back into reality.
It's like, oh, that can talk now? Neat.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what happens. And then what I think we need to do, I think Betty's whole arc because I think she's going to come in and see that everything is destroyed. But I think that her goal now is to help the Hulk. Mm-hmm. And I think her idea is to take all of the dampeners, the radiation dampeners, and, like, absorbing whatever things that they had in that lab, and rebuild and reconfigure it into something that can drain all of the gamma energy out of Bruce.
Yeah.
And so her whole big goal is to de-Hulk Bruce.
Yeah.
And then I feel like for the emotional arc of the movie, I feel like it has to work, but then Bruce has to re-Hulk himself. Like, he has to turn it back on, re-Hulk himself so he could go stop the nuke that's being blasted at the city at the end of Act 3. Like, that's...
Because,
whatever.
because in terms of evolution, like, you know, Bruce needs to, like, learn how to accept his emotions, you know? And, like, it's okay for him to be angry. It's okay for him to Hulk out, you know? It's just, like, just needs to be some control over it.
And literally that can be the speech at the end. Is like, if you do this, you'll never be able to go back. It's like, yeah, Betty, I have to be exactly the man you wanted me to be. I'm not going to repress anything anymore. Yeah. This is a part of me. These are my emotions. And now I got to let them out and go smash.
That's my secret, Betty. I'm always angry.
That's my secret, Betty. I'm always emotion. I feel like we can rework that. It's too late. We're out of time.
It's too late. I gotta go.
Let me jump real big.
Whoosh.
It's a good thing I'm wearing my purple pants today.
It's purple elastic pants that always never rips.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely disappointed that, like, the Bruce we meet is always just wearing grays.
Yeah.
But I actually now think that's funny. If he's only wearing grays, and as the movie progresses and he gets more comfortable with his emotions and expressing himself, he starts wearing more colorful outfits.
Yeah.
To the point where at the end, he's genuinely walking around in a purple suit.
You know, any comic book fan would be like, oh, that's smart because Hulk was gray at first, and then he became green.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, that works.
But yeah, basically.
Yeah, that works.
Kind of the idea.
Yeah.
And then, like, throughout the movie, it's just like, they get away, they're trying to do things, it gets blown up by the military, they fight back, and it's like different things like that. The Hulk needs to get calmed down, Betty's there. Like, a lot of the things that happen in the movie as it exists are still correct. We just need him to be a fully emotional thing. Like, honestly, Ang Lee doing choreography and directing and, like, doing action sequences is good on paper.
Yeah.
It just happened to not work out.
Yeah, and they did have a lot of fun moments in that movie, but, you know, deep down, like, Hulk is more than just a big, giant green thing that smashes.
Right.
You know, he's more than that.
Yeah.
And so that's what the main thing that like, the whole movie is, like, really missing or try to tie down instead of, like, this long exposition thing in the beginning. Like, I got the idea, it's like, oh, you know, David Banner feels like a guy that the whole world betrayed him, but it's like, does he really, though? Like, did it? It seems like he kind of caused the problems himself.
Kinda.
Yeah, so it's like...
And he kept being allowed to cause more.
Yeah, you know, so he's like... They kept him around, so it's like, it would have been a lot better if we actually did see the whole world, like, treating him like shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I actually had a little note right here, it's like, oh, we're gonna keep the father. Like, I had this idea, it's like, oh, we see, like, side-by-side montage. We're gonna take some directions from Ang Lee, but we're gonna, like, sharpen it up a little bit. Well, like, we see a montage of them growing up, we see, like, Bruce kind of living his best life, but, like, David just, like, living the worst life as, like, the years goes by.
We also could have it be something that we discover in Act 2 of we do meet David.
Yeah.
And we find out that he lives in the cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
He kind of lives the future that Bruce was kind of heading towards of just shutting himself down, just being emotionless and nothing, burying it all deep. And that's what David did with his whole life.
Yeah.
He got out, he went and lived in the woods, he just keeps to himself, does his own thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's all he does. And Betty's like, is this who you want to become? And Bruce is like, if it will keep you safe. And she's like, how am I safe if I'm not with you?
Yeah.
Whatever. Emotions, love, romance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And that's also interesting, too. So, like, maybe after he breaks out, destroys the labs, jumps away, like, he turns back to normal Bruce, and he just, like, lands in front of his cabin. Is that what you're thinking?
I don't want him to accidentally stumble upon his dad, because I hate coincidences like that.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're going to do anything, the military is going to be like, there's only one other man we know who has any knowledge of like, the sort of biology that allows someone to turn into something like this.
Yeah.
David Banner.
And David Banner, his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't think it needs to be like Bruce went through the foster system or whatever. I don't know if that's even true to the comics.
No, he was raised by his aunt. His aunt raised him.
So many aunts in Marvel comics.
I know, right?
But, like, fundamentally, like, something like that where it's like they have to go to him and they get this guy who's, like, living out and completely isolated himself. And it turns out that it is the dad.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of, like, that's a reason to pull this person in as opposed to he shows up on the day of the crazy accident.
Yeah.
Just 5 different coincidences at once.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And it definitely wasn't a plan he thought from the beginning. Like,
no.
Because even much to that point, it's like, dude, this guy did something very horrible. And, like, it would make sense, like, why he would just shut himself out from, like, everything. Like, he killed his wife.
Yeah, and, like, what's Nick Nolte's plan? He just wants to be close to his son?
Yeah.
And then it happens to be that his son turns into the Hulk?
And now he wants all the power?
Well, right, like, he didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was gonna steal Bruce's blood to make his demon dogs? Like, he already had the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, he was clearly planning on stealing Bruce's blood already. We don't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
It's all just like, well, it's a good thing you got radiation exposed. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
What else do we need for our movie? You're the Hulk fan.
Yeah.
What else needs to happen in this movie for you, the Hulk fan, to be happy with this movie?
I mean, like, I think we hit all the beats, really. Because, like, we got Rick Jones being guilty. We got the drama and the romance between him and Betty. And the fact that we've managed to, like, squeeze in the father in the middle of the second act. You know, I think we're hitting all the right beats, and we're still going to get the big military action scene at the end. One thing I would love to see if I want to have, because I kind of want Hulk to speak.
Yeah. You hate me, I'm monster.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's like, okay, so Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, you know, wrote this comic called Hulk Gray, which is like almost like a secret origins of like when Hulk first appeared. Like, it's just like, oh, this what happens between issue 1 and 2. Like, we're gonna fill it in. And one time he, like, you know, found Betty and, like, took her to a cave, and they had this, like, whole conversation. And it was very interesting. And, like, at one point, like, Betty asks, like, Hulk, so, like, what are you really? He's like, Hulk is Hulk. You know, like, what am I? Like, I'm me.
Yeah.
So this is who I am.
The thing we haven't really talked about, actually, is the multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
The movie, as it exists now, it's all Bruce.
Yeah.
It's just Bruce. It's him having the emotions. He enjoys being the Hulk. It's just him letting loose.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, I like that idea, but it's not true to the comics. And I also think that gives it this extra layer of fear, especially for Bruce, of when I become the Hulk, I'm not... I can kind of see what's happening, but it isn't me.
Yeah.
And I can tell that it's not me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the Hulk is a bad guy, but I do think that he is the scared little child that I've always been.
Yeah.
It's just so happens to be that my inner child is a fucking monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something we can introduce and play with as well.
Yeah.
Of the Hulk. I don't want to say the Hulk was inside me all along, but like becoming the Hulk shook something loose that you've been shoving further and further down.
Yeah.
And now that genie's not going back in the bottle, it's a really big man.
Yeah, it's a big man. It's something he's been repressing, right? If we still going to talk about like how he saw his dad like kill his mother right in front of him.
I don't think we need an R version of that.
We don't need dad. You know how he killed her in the comics?
How did he kill her in the comics?
Oh, he like grabbed her face and just like slammed her against the pavement, and it's just like bam, killed her like that.
Why?
Yeah, it was very because like she tried to run to the car with Bruce. She's like, I got enough because he's been beating her like for a long time at this point. And so like he grabbed her. So as she was about to get in the car, he grabbed her, like took her face and just bam, just like slammed her right across the pavement.
I think we can talk about like I think it's okay that the dad's not a good guy because I certainly think he can be the villain in the sequel, which I think we should do. I think we can also talk about how like. That this is what happens when someone represses their emotions for so long. They come out in these violent outbursts and you hurt the people around you.
Yeah.
The Hulk has a really good chance of hurting the people around him. But if you trust your emotions, you have them, and you let themselves be free, then you won't hurt the people around you because you're in touch with yourself emotionally.
Yeah, and that's why like I want to have a conversation where like, so, you know, it's just say in the second act, he meets, you know, his father and kind of goes through this whole conversation catching up, like, how do I get rid of this thing inside me? He's like, you can't, it's part of you. You know, it's like...
You just gotta push it down further.
You gotta push it down. That's the only way you could get rid of it. Because it worked with me, it's gonna work for you, son.
Yeah. And it was always your mother's fault for bringing out the worst emotions in me.
Yeah, it was always your mother's fault.
And it's like, oh man, I don't want to be like you.
So the military shows up. You know, it's like, oh, they found him because, you know...
Because
science.
the dad called.
Yeah, the dad called, or... You know, we could go bullshit science. They found radiation.
Sure, but like, you made me do this to you, son.
Yeah, it's your fault, you know. Then he's like... Fuck you, Dad. Like, he hulks out and just, like, kind of nearly kills him. And I see he bursts through
I don't even think he needs to nearly kill the dad. I think he can just break the dad's house.
Just
and the dad's like, oh my god, the science is real. That's awesome. I want that for me.
Yeah, it's like... Son, you changed my mind. I told you about balling emotion, about letting it all out. Look what he can do.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And that can be like... And that's the last we see of the dad in the movie. But then, like, the stinger at the end is just the dad... standing in the rubble of his house. He clears something, pulls open a basement door, climbs down, and there's his lab.
Yeah, there's his lab.
And it's like, all right.
But so after he destroys the house, okay, so he hulks out, military shows up, but then I want him to see Betty, and like
that's what calms him down.
One thing it calms him down, but then the military fires again.
Well, the sun is getting awfully low.
Yes, but what like he's still like trying to protect Betty, and like he flies up, you know. With her, and you know they still had a conversation about like what I exactly, you know, I am me, but I'm not Bruce, you know. And like Hulk hates Banner, you know. That's the thing. Like literally, like in very first issue of the Incredible Hulk, he like, you know, he saw a picture of Bruce Banner, and he's like, "Who is this?" He's like, "Oh, that's you. That's Bruce Banner." He's like, "Banner, I hate Banner. Banner's puny human. I hate him." You know? And
yeah, like, of course the Hulk hates Banner. Like, Banner's been pushing the Hulk down and trying to keep Hulk contained for his entire life.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So it's like, I hate Banner. I hate this guy. I love what I am. Like, I don't like this other personality that's, you know, he kept me in control the whole time. I want to be let out. I want to be free. I want to be left alone, and I want to be with you, Betty.
Right.
So there's that thing.
Hulk see Betty through Bruce's eyes.
Yeah.
Hulk also loved Betty.
Yeah, exactly. Because despite how, like, talk about emotions, right? Like, that's the only time emotions comes out is when he's with her. Like, that's the only time, like, a little bit of emotion. So that's how Hulk is able to feel for this person, because some of that emotion comes out as well.
It's true. That's the only time when Bruce and Hulk are same.
Yeah, exactly. And so, they had a conversation, and that could, like, easily lead to the last act where, like, the military start chasing after them again.
Yeah.
I wonder if would you think he might accidentally think, like, Betty might have died because of his power? Like,
no, I don't think so. I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
I think, like, the whole purpose of... I think the message we're going for here is that the technology itself isn't what's dangerous. It's the people around it who are trying to use it. So I think kind of, like, the whole idea is that Hulk is and can be very dangerous. Like, Hulk's destroying a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But I think Betty can very much point out that he's destroying things, not people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of anti-police.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I literally have a joke in one of my features that's like, hey, like they're like, a door is locked and a police officer is going to shoot the lock, and it's like, hey, that's not for property, that's for people. And, like, I make fun of the LAPD. I think it's very funny, and I've had some people read it. They're like, that's not funny. I'm like, you're wrong.
Well, they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Because I laughed. I know what a joke is.
Thank you. I mean, I do trust that opinion. But, like, fundamentally, like, that can kind of be the idea of, like, I think Betty is trying to fix him and de-Hulkify Bruce, but I think she's gonna, like, and succeed, because I think she should be able to, like, drain the gamma radiation out of Bruce.
Okay. So...
But I think that she also needs to be like, we also, like,
you
have the potential to be a hero, and I think I'm going to choose to trust you.
Yeah.
As opposed to also trying to repress who you have the potential to be.
Yeah. So after they talk, Mildred comes down and tries to fight him. Then she's like, oh, okay, I came with the technology. Just assume it's portable. Or maybe she could, like, take a giant truck. Rick Jones shows up. I was like, hey, I got the thing you've been working on, this giant truck. Let's go after him right now as he's fighting everybody.
Kind of, yeah. It's the whole, like, thing to... Whatever they need to do to drain him. And like, I still think they need to succeed in draining him, and then they need to...
Yeah, at the same time, as they're draining him, like, General Ross has to know. All he knows is, like, everything I've been shooting at this guy has been failing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be stuck with Vegas because not only is it my hometown, but at one point in the comics, Hulk literally just destroyed half of Vegas.
Also, it's a great place to put a Hulk movie.
Exactly.
So many fun things to bring.
Yeah. So, I don't know how, somehow Vegas became such a central city to, like, the Hulk storyline.
Yeah.
And I love it. Okay, so,
Hulk
like...
has to smash the Statue of Liberty and take the torch and start hitting things with the torch.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only thing he respects because it's only other green person.
I'll take the non-green thing, but the rest of the green is okay. But the torch, that's orange. I hate orange.
Yeah.
Me hate red.
Me hate red. Or, like, I mean, we know that the dome is just a dome. It's not a sphere, but I really like the idea of him pulling the whole sphere.
I would love to see that.
Just chucking it.
Because that thing freaks me out every time I see it. It feels like an alien planted that entire dome in the city.
Correct. There's one in LA where they tested it out.
Yeah, and it's smaller, and for some reason I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with the Vegas one.
You just see it every time you go to the Burbank airport.
I know, yeah, I do see it. And I'm like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a radar dish. I'm cool with that.
There's not some sort of emoji face looking at
Yeah,
me.
it's not, none of that. So yeah, he just shoots it all, General Ross is like, oh shit, like everything I'm using is not working. Okay, launched, okay, call the president, I need to use the nuclear codes now. I need the codes now. Okay, you got it. Meanwhile, I was like, hey, we solved the problem. Hulk is dead. Cool. Bruce, you're fine. It's like, oh, Betty, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, like,
I'm sorry, Bruce.
I'm sorry, Bruce.
I'm sorry.
Rick's like, no, I'm sorry. I should have saved you. And it's just like, fuck you, Rick.
Yeah.
You know,
and John Ross is like, I'm not sorry. Well, because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. So now they, like...
Or they can even say, like, she said she fixed it, but we're still detecting monstrous amounts of radiation. But what they don't know is that it's in the box.
Oh,
and not in him.
Yes.
It's like, she said she fixed him, but she's lying. It's the only way. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because, like, he gave her a chance, he finally listens to his daughter and gave her the chance. And now he's like, oh, she failed. He probably thought, like, Hulk killed her.
Or, like, fundamentally, like, you can also do the other thing of, like, Ross is like, no, I trust my daughter.
Yeah.
And then Talbot's like, I don't. Twit, beep, boop, whatever, hit the
I mean, that could be happening. Talbot could easily be like, I'm... you could easily start a coup.
Yeah, again, it is what happens. It is what happens in the Iron Giant.
Yeah,
but it works.
Yeah, it works. So, like, yeah, however we want to do it, like, it happens. We could explain the technicalities of it, sure, whatever. But one of his, they launched a nuke at the same time. It's like, oh, now we gotta put the Hulk back in you.
It's the only thing that can. It's the only thing that can save Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's like, I love you, Betty. It's like, I love you, Bruce, and I love you too, Hulk.
Well, like, you can literally do that joke. It's like, I love you, Betty. No, I love you, Bruce. I love you, Betty. I love you, Hulk. Hulk love Betty. Hulk go get it, or what? Hulk smash, whatever.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, all right. Is there anything else we're missing? We've kind of done our arcs. We've done everyone in the movie has something to do. Betty, importantly, has something to do.
Betty has something to do.
Bruce has things to do.
Yeah.
Talbot and General Ross have things to do. Is there anything we're missing?
No, I mean, the fact that we managed to put in, like, his father in.
The dad is still there, and he's still going to be evil, and then he's, like, set up for the second movie where he's like, more for dad.
Yeah. So we could set all that stuff up. I'm not sure if we want to go weird mind delve things about, like...
We do not.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. So, yeah, no, I think we hit all the right beats. We don't have those weird montagey sequences of algae and trees and all that shit. Yeah.
The movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah, it was over 2 hours,
You can cut some.
Yeah. I feel like I was angry being super artsy. I still think
there was like a half hour of things you could cut. Like, if this movie had been like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, so much better. So our movie will be an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. That's why I don't want to I don't want to have the movie itself Hulk out too much.
We don't want to make it big.
Yeah.
We just want it strong.
We want svelte Hulk.
Yes. No, it all works because, like, you know, like I said, like, the Hulk, there's a lot for the Hulk. And and the biggest problem with this movie is they're trying to take so much and try to stuff it in within 2 hours, and you don't really need that. No. You really just need, like, the first, like, what was shown in the first few issues of the comics, and, like, modernize it and go from there, you know?
The whole purpose of the Hulk is that, like, the Hulk is an arms race, and it's just, like, watching that arms race escalate until finally it's like, oh, okay, this arms race didn't work. Now we're going to start a new arms race.
Yeah.
And now it's an arms race with the aliens, with this, with that. It's just like, Hulk is the arms race, but Hulk always wins.
Yeah.
That's the point and the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but yeah, okay. So that's the movie. So I feel like now we got to get into casting.
Yes. So
it's not a particularly deep bench of casting for
us. Not at all. And, like, I mentioned to Sam earlier, like, I'm terrible at casting. Like, whenever I write something, I just write characters. And, like, I never thought, like, oh, it'd be cool if this person could play my character. I never think about that at all. I'm just like, hey, you casting director, do your job. I also don't think about that when I'm writing. I've had to start thinking about it for the podcast, but this does not... weirdly, the casting part of the podcast does not translate into my writing at all. Yeah. The remaking the movie, yes. So, casting, no. This is just for fun. So I actually did make an effort to find my Bruce and my Betty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the real question. How old is Bruce Banner when he gets turned into the Hulk? I'm sure it's 25, but I feel like that's too young.
I feel like he's between 28 to 32, somewhere in that age range. So late 20s, early 30s.
I agree with that, because my Bruce is exactly 30 years old.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because, like, I think mine is 29, so he's close.
Okay.
This is how terrible I am. Okay, so I chose Paul Mescal.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, he's hot, you know, main character in Gladiator 2.
Ah, okay.
But there's something about his facial structure that I feel like, and, like, especially when he became angry, his angry moments.
Yeah.
He's really angry. But in Gladiator 2, you know, when he's around his wife, you know, he's like, oh shit, this is a very gentle guy.
Sure.
So this guy is a warrior. He could kill things, but boy, like, his wife makes him calm down.
Good.
So, like, that's why I thought, oh, Paul Mescal might be a good guy. Of course, I did a terrible job because, like, you know, everyone's, like, white in my casting, but...
And the only person who's white in my casting is Talbot.
Yeah, makes sense.
So for my Bruce, I wanted someone who... I didn't want someone who's too pretty. Like, I wanted someone who's nerdy. Like, I actually think Paul Mescal's pretty good casting for Bruce Banner. Like, I'm not opposed to Paul Mescal at all.
Yeah.
So, and, like, a lot of the, like... especially with social media and everything, like, everyone who's, like, putting out pictures and being famous or whatever are like, here's my model poses. I'm like, yeah, okay. And, like, despite the fact that, as far as I know, Bruce is an only child, like, I need a little bit of little brother energy. And so the actor that I got is the voice of Diego in Go, Diego, Go. He's in The Fosters. He's in Wizards of Waverly Place. It's an actor named Jake T. Austin.
Okay.
And, like, he's a little bit nerdier. He's still an attractive guy.
Yeah.
He's 30 years old. He's a good actor, and I feel like he's someone who could be very muted, and then all of a sudden we see him just like cut loose, like let himself go.
Yeah, yeah.
And like that's the sort of thing. It's like, okay,
yeah,
that's what he's been bottling up this whole time. Okay.
You know, it just made me thought of another guy. What's his face? Justice Smith.
Yeah.
He's awkward. He's nerdy, but
he has way too much confidence.
That's true. But I don't know. When I watch him and I saw the TV glow, you know, this guy's like, you know, he's always like, he's like a hermit. You know, he's like so much repression in that movie he had. You know, so it's like.
I was thinking of a different person. Justice Smith is not Will Smith's kid.
No. That's Hayden.
It's Willow and
Hayden.
Is his name Hayden? I don't know that's right.
What's that one movie they were in together?
Jaden.
I was close.
Because it's Jada Pinkett Smith and Will, and they swap names on their kids.
Yeah.
No, okay. Justice Smith I like a lot.
Yeah, so...
I mean, look, I'm never going to get mad at pulling in the kid from Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Like, I think Justice Smith is actually really good.
Yeah, like, I mean, when you see him and I saw the TV glow, like, he has, like, a lot of repression.
Oh, yeah.
And our Hulk, our Bruce Banner has a lot of repressed.
Well, here's the thing. I genuinely considered this actor because, obviously, I really liked him, and I liked his portrayal of Simon in Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. But I've gone to that well so many times that I was like, I can't do it again.
Can't do it.
But obviously, like, I love this guy. I think he's great.
Yeah.
I'm very tempted to go with Justice Smith, but I feel like let's come back to that.
Okay.
Did you go first for the last one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go first for Betty. I want a far more competent and capable Betty Ross. Mm-hmm. To the point where, in the movie as it exists, Betty is younger than Bruce. In this movie, I made Betty older than Bruce.
Okay.
My Bruce was 30, and my Betty's like 33.
Okay.
So it's not a lot, but it's a little bit.
Yeah, they're still close in age.
And this is an actress who was in the Lady Macbeth movie.
Oh.
She was also in Blink Twice.
Oh.
And she was also Whitney Houston in the Whitney Houston documentary.
Oh my.
Not the doc, but the biopic.
The biopic, yes.
And her name is Naomi Ackie.
Yeah.
And I thought that she would be a very capable actress, the daughter of a general who can also then stand up to that general.
Yeah.
And I thought she'd be very good at that.
Yeah.
That's who I had for Betty.
Yeah, mine was Ella Purnell.
Okay, tell me why.
Of Fallout and Yellow Jackets fame. And just because you talk about confidence by, like, someone who's always taking action.
Sure.
Like, she's just a person who's constantly, like, just feels like she knows what she's doing. Even though she was, like, pretty goofy in Fallout, Yellow Jackets, she's just, like, a very tortured person, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, for a person... Because, like, I feel like partly because, like, for a person who's, like, really in love with somebody, but... you know, sees this monster coming out them, it's like, I gotta save this person.
Sure.
Like, I feel like she can bring that believability and emotional depth towards the character of Betty.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only thing I've seen her in, or I guess heard her in, is Arcane.
Oh, yeah, Arcane. That's another great example.
I guess I've seen Maleficent, where she's teen Maleficent, but, like, that doesn't count.
But, yeah, well, I mean, her as Vi in Arcane is also, like...
She's not Vi.
Oh, she's Jinx.
She's Jinx.
Yeah, she's Jinx. I mean, that's also, like, a very tortured character, you know? So it's like,
I mean,
holy shit.
It's a different kind of perception. Let's see, because I think we also need to pair them with our General Ross and our father.
Yeah, which I have not done.
Oh, okay. Well, who did you have for your General Ross?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I like I said, I'm terrible with casting, so I was just like...
That's fine.
These are the only two I made an effort in.
Good.
And as I tried it with everyone else, I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, I can appreciate the couple of white people that you pulled in, although I do like Justice Smith a lot.
Yeah.
So for my General Ross, I wanted someone who could potentially be Naomi Ackie's father, who, tough, scary, but also potentially funny. I don't want him just hitting the one note the whole time. I want someone who can like go back and forth, who can be the guy that he is in Blackish while also being Morpheus.
Oh.
I went with Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, Lawrence Fishburne... he can be crazy like he is in, like, the John Wick movies.
Yeah.
Or he can be the most intense person you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And, like, that's good energy for a general.
Yeah.
And I thought that, like, that would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, like, General Ross, especially, like, how our General Ross is going to be, is, like, this is a guy that, like, needs his power, wants to stop this power, wants to be the guy on top all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, Lawrence Fishburne could definitely have that, like...
right.
ability, and you could probably just think about his whole history, just the way he acts, you know, just
right.
like this guy who had to toughen up, gone through a lot of stuff, then that's where he is now.
Yeah, but I'm thinking we might end up having to make him father if we go with Justice Smith for Bruce, which we might end up doing. So you didn't cast father, I did. I needed a Hispanic dude who's in his 60s, around the same time, who can play crazy and is also funny, and can be extremely intense.
Don't tell me.
Who do you think I cast?
Oh no, I hope it's not George Lopez.
It's not.
Okay!
No! No.
Gabriel Iglesias! Damn it!
I cast the crazy clown from Spawn. I cast John
John
Leguizamo! I cast the one we all like. Are you out of your mind? Yeah, John Leguizamo would be fucking awesome. Like, the same kind of villain energy he has in Violent Night.
Yeah.
I mean, while also having a little bit of his Luigi energy from Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, we could all use a little bit more Luigi.
I mean, we could always use more Luigi.
Yes. But I feel like what I think we should do is I think Lawrence Fishburne should be our father, and I think Justice Smith should be our Bruce, and then let's go with Ella Purnell for our Betty Ross. So let's...
Okay.
I'm going to shuffle things up a little bit. And then that means we need, I guess, a white guy. Or no, I'm sorry. It doesn't have to be a white guy necessarily. Who do you think we should now get to be our general? Like, the obvious choice...
Yeah, let's do Colin Farrell.
We could, actually.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the obvious choice is fucking... he's in the... I tried so hard not to get any Marvel people, and now he's in the Marvel movies because he's the perfect J. Jonah Jameson that's ever
J.K.
existed.
Simmons?
Yeah, like J.K. Simmons is kind of the model for this sort of character,
Yeah.
which is why he's played this character in all the animated things
yeah.
up to this moment. So, like, we need an actor in his 60s.
Yeah.
And because it's Ella Purnell, it needs to be a white dude. So we need a white dude in his 60s who haven't been in any Marvels. Actually, you know who would be really funny? Who would be a pretty decent person to get for this? Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
He can be real intense.
He can. And he has the comedy.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think he ever played a military guy.
That can't possibly be true.
No, it's like, maybe, I could be wrong.
He's so square-jawed.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point he's played some sort of military something.
He played James Comey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, you got that.
I feel like if we were going to go with anybody, it should be either Jeff Daniels or Timothy Dalton.
Oh, Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton is extremely British.
Yeah.
And Jeff Daniels is not. And I feel like if we're going to go with, like, general, we want someone who is American.
Yeah.
But, like, that kind of energy. So between the two of them, would you prefer Timothy Dalton or Jeff Daniels?
I'm going to go with Jeff Daniels.
Great.
I think Jeff Daniels will be better.
Excellent. So then I've got Talbot and I've got Rick Jones. So for Talbot, I wanted a smarmy white guy. Mm-hmm. So I grabbed a smarmy white guy. I first saw him in Dollhouse. He's also in Cabin in the Woods. His name is Fron Kranz.
Fron Kranz, okay.
He was kind of in, like, the Joss Whedon school of people, so I think he kind of went away with all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a good dude or not, but I do know can play a real skis. So that's who I would have for Talbot. Do you have anything against that?
Nope, I got nothing against that.
Then that brings me to Rick Jones, who I gender swapped.
Okay.
I wanted someone... I cast someone who I cast, not for a long time, but is very, very leftist, because she's in something called How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I first saw her in Runaways, so she's a little bit younger and, like, very gung-ho, do the right thing.
Yeah.
Which is why it'd be really sad if she then abandons Bruce, but then is, like, racked with guilt for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
This actress's name is Ariella Bearer.
Ariella Bearer. Okay.
She's the one with the dinosaur in Runaways.
Oh, okay, her. Yeah.
The one who, when she went into her audition, is like, yeah, she's a feminist. Okay, what kind of feminist? This kind of feminist, this kind of feminist, this kind of feminist. Like, so she is feminist, and that's great. And I love her, and she's the best kind of nerdy. And I thought she'd be fun for, like, the slightly younger friend to both Betty and Bruce.
Yeah, yeah.
And because it's both Betty and Bruce, she needed to have a B in her name.
Yeah.
Rules are rules.
Rules are rules. All right, so she'll be Rachel Jones.
She could still be Rick. I'm trying to think what Rick could be. It's Rachel, but everyone just calls her Rick.
Okay, we could go with that.
I don't know.
This is a movie we were making in 2003, so yes.
Well, we're making it now.
Oh, we are making it now.
Yeah. It's Patricia.
Oh, yeah. Patricia Jones.
Yeah.
But she wants to go by Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's our cast. That brings us to writer and director.
Okay.
I have a writing team and then a director.
I, too, have a writing team.
Oh, tell me who you have.
Yeah, us.
Oh, well, sure. Obviously. Yes. Obviously us. I'm honored. Thank you for asking me. I accept. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yes.
Yeah, we would do it.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're going to rock it. We're going to kill it.
But for the purposes of the show, I had the writing team who they worked on a TV show called Powerless. Mm-hmm. They also wrote the Sonic movies.
Yeah.
And they also wrote Violent Night.
Yeah.
Pat Casey and Josh Miller.
Yeah. Okay, that worked.
They seem nerdy enough, and it's like...
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously we would write it.
Yeah, obviously.
Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, obviously. Of course.
Yeah.
But if I were to choose someone that's not us, I honestly would have gone with Mark Guggenheim.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How come?
Not only because I had conversations with this guy, but he really knows his comics, but he's great at, like, capturing the human moments in, like, all these characters.
Okay.
And I also want him to redeem himself from writing a bad Green movie to a good Green movie. I
mean, he's written a lot of good superhero stuff. I mean, yeah. Legends of Tomorrow was awesome.
I loved it.
And, like, Troll Hunters, Troll Hunters was amazing.
Yeah.
And Arrow was good for a while.
Yeah.
Like, so he loves his superhero shit.
Yeah. So he definitely knows it, and he's been doing a lot of DC stuff, but it's also like, hey, let's do what the comics did, how they, like, poach each other's writers and artists. Let's do that in the Marvels, I
also love that this guy is on the advisory board for the Alliance of Women Directors.
Yeah.
Great. Like, obviously, like, good. Empower as many women as possible.
Yeah.
I did not have a lady director for this, but, I'm more than happy to go with Mark Guggenheim as our writer.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you have for your director?
So this is going to be a bit of a cop-out.
Okay. But it's not Ang Lee.
No. But I'm thinking of, like, how he had all these, like, side-to-side, like, when he's trying to do the whole comic book as a visual thing, the way they edits. One part of me that did that kind of thing very well was 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, you want Mark Webb?
And I was thinking of Mark Webb, even though he already directed 2 Spider-Man movies.
And they're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Putting it nicely.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's never responded to my emails.
Oh, dang guy.
It's nothing against him. Like, he is, I'm sure, is very busy, and there's no reason why he should respond to my emails. I just happen to have his email because we went to the same college. We had the same advisor.
Yeah.
And, like, literally, he's one of the, like, standout alumni of Colorado College.
Yeah.
So if you want someone who went to college near an Air Force base and it's not me, Mark Webb.
Okay. I'll do that. But if we're going to approach him with this Hulk movie, maybe he'll change his mind.
I mean, here's the thing. I also went with someone who has directed a superhero movie.
Oh, okay.
But really, that one superhero movie is the biggest thing that he's ever done. Mm. And I liked it, but I also will agree that it did not have the best reception.
Yeah.
But it really focused on one color. Mm. And I don't think that was his color. Mm. I think his color's green. It's not blue.
Oh.
I went with Angel Manuel Soto.
Yeah. Blue Beetle.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, he's someone who was found and given Blue Beetle because he's a Hispanic director and they wanted a Hispanic director for Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And I liked Blue Beetle.
Yeah, me too. It was fun.
And I think that, like, that kind of energy, like, that kind of style of directing, but a completely different character, would give him an opportunity to play kind of in a similar world, but wildly different.
Yeah.
Like, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and that's kind of the idea of what I had in mind. Like, I like 500 Days of Summer. I enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Between the two of them, I would push us towards Angel Manuel Soto.
Okay.
If that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's perfect. Because, like, there's still part of me feels like, oh, maybe we could still do all that weird side editing thing, but we could do it better, and Mark Webb somehow make it work in 500 Days of Summer.
I don't know what Mark Webb's done recently. I'm sure he's been, like...
I feel like he did one thing recently.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know.
But...
I'm sure it's, like, commercials, and he was an executive producer on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing against him, but I would push us towards Angels. So let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let me take you through our cast list for The Hulk.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bruce Banner is going to be played by Justice Smith.
Yeah.
Betty Ross is going to be Ella Purnell. General Ross is going to be Jeff Daniels. Daddy Banner is going to be Lawrence Fishburne. Talbot is going to be Fran Kranz. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Patricia Jones, a.k.a. Rick Jones, is going to be Ariella Bearer. All this will be written by Mark Guggenheim and directed by Angel Manuel Soto.
There we go, guys.
That is The Hulk. You gonna go watch this?
Oh, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna love it.
Are you gonna get the commemorative popcorn bucket that's just a Hulk fist? But it's like those old green Hulk fists, but you're just full of popcorn?
Just full of popcorn. Yeah, I mean, I'll totally get that.
All buttery and
you
gross.
can still, like, put your hand inside the popcorn bucket, so you could just, like, still...
Like, once it's empty of popcorn, you just grab the the butteriest thing you've ever held.
Yeah, it's actually one, like, long butter stick. That's what happens. They just left one long stick of butter in it.
All right, Yousif, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for making me watch the first Hulk movie I've ever watched.
You're welcome.
Now's the time. If you have plugs, social media, anything you want people listening to do, tell them about it now.
Yeah, on BlueSky, I'm a Vader fan, because I'm also a huge Darth Vader fan.
So it's VADERFAN?
Yes.
Okay.
And Instagram, I'm Vader fan OG, because I got an Instagram late.
Because you were not, in fact... the original Vader fan?
I was Vader fan since I was the age of 12, since I started playing Warcraft online.
Not on Instagram.
That's been my Battle.net, name for like decades.
That's very
so
fun.
Whoever took it on Instagram is not the original.
On notice.
Yeah.
Original Vader fan on Instagram.
Yeah. Come and fight me. I'll take my name back.
Awesome. Is there anything you want people to watch or listen to or do?
No, just people watch what you like, do what you want, don't listen to other people, but definitely watch a Hulk movie that's going to come out, 7 years from now, so.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing.
We're all looking forward to it.
Do you know why there isn't another Hulk movie?
Why?
Because Universal has the rights, like all media rights for the Hulk.
Okay.
So believe it or not, people, Marvel Studios wasn't owned by Disney at some point. So how they were able to make the Incredible Hulk movie was because they were their own independent studio, believe it or not. So they were able to make a deal with Universal. Universal has these distribution rights, but Marvel's going to make the movie.
It's fascinating that they've gone this long without making a Hulk movie and the rights haven't reverted back.
Yes, because how they kept the rights is they allowed the Hulk to be in other movies. So it's like you're not allowed to make a Hulk movie, but if you keep putting Hulk in other movies, we still keep the rights.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they could have they could have easily say, no, we're not going to do that. We wanted to make our own Hulk movie, but it's also like, well, we also have to wait 12 years to have
We also
Hulk.
haven't talked about it, but I really do like the Hulk we have now.
Oh no, yeah, he's like the most accurate Hulk.
He's
really.
great.
Yeah.
I'm completely blanking on his name right now.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's, I think, a really good Bruce Banner. And so that's kind of like, I was like, that's kind of the model, but I have to do something else.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we have that. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
I think Justice Smith's a good one.
Yeah. You know also something funny, like another trivia behind all the Hulk movies?
Yeah.
Edward Norton was originally thought of to be in that Ang Lee Hulk movie, but he turned it down. And then for the Incredible Hulk, they wanted Mark Ruffalo, but he couldn't do it, so they got Edward Norton instead.
That's funny.
Yeah, then Edward Norton asked for too much money for the Avengers, so they're like, no, Mark Ruffalo's available now, let's get him back.
Good.
Yeah.
Because, I haven't seen The Incredible Hulk yet. I feel like I will watch it at some point over
it's definitely a good movie, but also it's not as ridiculous as Ang Lee's Hulk.
It couldn't be. It's impossible.
It's not. And in some ways, if you think about it, it's kind of boring because it's not as bad, It's
interesting.
It's a good movie, but there's nothing for me to yell at the TV screen for.
Okay.
And I'm disappointed.
And as you'll recall, when I was watching this movie, I sent you some very exasperated texts.
I know, yes, he did, as he's watching it. And I feel like if you do watch Incredible Hulk movie, I think that I'm going to get note text and be like,
that is very
okay,
possible.
that makes sense.
Yeah. You'll never know, but it will have happened.
Beats 1, 2, 3 through 100, all connects, fine.
Yeah. And of course, if you're interested in following me, I am on Instagram at Ideal Remake, spelled just like the podcast you're listening to. Or you can find me on BlueSky at Sam Gasch, SamGasch. And as this is the last episode of Season 7, and you have some suggestions about movies you want me to cover or things you want me to do next season in Season 8, please reach out on the Dueling Genre Discord. There's an Ideal Remake channel and everything. The link to the Discord is in the show notes for this episode, and honestly, I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know what some of your favorite episodes were for the season, and yeah, let's start figuring out what the plan is for Season 8. Okay, so that's it. We did it. That is the end of Season 7 of Ideal Remake. So, Yousif, we will end this season of podcasting the same way we end every episode of Ideal Remake. What is your favorite quote from the movie The Hulk?
Take it all!
Perfect.